peaceful one, who rests on the serpent's coil, lotus-naved Lord in cosmic royal toil, master of all, the sky's vast endless frame, cloud-hued and graceful, ever praised by name. Beloved of Lakshmi, eyes like blossoms fair, Yogi's quiet refuge found in silent prayer. I bow to Vishnu, dispeller of all fears, sole sovereign of worlds through endless years. Chapter 12 of the Bhagavad Gita is called Bhakti Yoga, the yoga of devotion. In the previous chapter, Arjuna had witnessed Krishna's cosmic form, an overwhelming vision of the infinite divine. This left him with profound questions about the nature of spiritual practice. Now, in chapter 12, the focus shifts from grand cosmic revelation to something more intimate and practical. How should one worship and connect with the divine? This chapter addresses a timeless debate. Should we approach God as a personal, loving being saguna, with attributes, or as the formless, infinite, absolute nirguna, without attributes? Arjuna, representing every seeker, wants to know which path is better for attaining perfection in yoga. Arjuna said, "O Krishna, there are devotees who are always absorbed in worshipping you with devotion, and others contemplate the imperishable, the formless, and the unmanifest. Among these, who is considered the most perfect in yoga?" Here, Arjuna is making a clear distinction between two spiritual paths: the personal path, devotion to Krishna as the personal God involving love, worship, and a relationship with the divine as a friend, master, or beloved. The impersonal path, contemplation of Brahm as the formless, infinite, imperishable reality beyond all sensory perception. Arjuna's question is not just theoretical, it reflects a real challenge for seekers. Both paths aim at union with the divine, but they differ in approach and experience. He wants Krishna to clarify which path is the most effective for a yogi striving for perfection. Shri Krishna replied, "Those who anchor their minds in me, who live in constant union with me, and who worship me with unwavering and exalted faith, such devotees I regard as the most perfectly united in yoga." Krishna's answer comes like the gentle yet firm dawn breaking after Arjuna's night of questioning. He does not begin with philosophical arguments about the formless or the formed. Instead, he speaks directly from the heart. The image is vivid. A devotee's mind is not a restless wanderer, but a bird that has found its nest in the branches of Krishna's presence. Such a mind is fully absorbed, not merely visiting the divine in fleeting moments of prayer, but dwelling there as its permanent home. Krishna speaks of Nitya Yukta, a bond unbroken by time, where devotion is not an occasional ritual, but the very rhythm of life, and this bond is strengthened by Parya Shraddhaya, not ordinary belief that wavers in doubt, but a luminous, unshakable trust that survives storms of hardship and seasons of change. For such souls, worship is not a duty but a love affair. The altar is not just in the temple, but in every heartbeat, and to Krishna, these are the ones most perfectly united with him, the crown of yogis. Krishna is conveying the message that the highest form of perfection lies not in the pursuit of the abstract infinite, but in surrendering oneself completely to the beloved, resulting in the merging of the individual soul into a collective unity with the Supreme Being. But there are also those who dedicate themselves to the unmanifest, the imperishable beyond all description, unseen by the senses, all-pervading yet inconceivable, unchanging, unmoving, eternal. By reigning in their senses, holding an equal vision toward all beings, and delighting in the welfare of every creature, they too, in the end, come to me. Here Krishna turns to the other path, the way of the formless. The picture he paints is like gazing at the horizon where the sky meets infinity. There is no shape to cling to, no smile to greet, only a vast and silent presence. The seekers of this way worship the imperishable, something that cannot be pointed to, drawn, or defined. It is the unmanifest, like the fragrance of a flower that you cannot see but only sense in the air. It is everywhere, sarvatragam, yet beyond the reach of imagination, achintyam. It stands like a mountain's core, kutastham, unmoving, achalam, steady as the pole star, dhruvam. To walk this path is no leisurely stroll. It demands the mastery of the senses, as if one tames a restless team of wild horses and keeps them perfectly still. It requires a vision that does not tilt toward friend or foe, gain or loss, a gaze that sees the same spark in all, and it calls for a heart that finds joy in serving every living being, because the formless divine flows through all. Krishna assures that these two, after a long and steadfast journey, reach him. Yet the tone here carries a subtle truth. The road of the formless is steep and silent, whereas the road of devotion is vibrant with relationship. One path is like swimming in the open ocean with no shore in sight. The other is like sailing with a guiding star. Both reach the same destination, but the experience is vastly different. For those whose hearts cling to the unmanifest, the path is burdened with greater hardship, for the unmanifest goal is difficult to reach for those still dwelling in a body of flesh and bone. Here Krishna speaks with a tone that feels almost compassionate, as if cautioning a friend about a road shrouded in mist. The pursuit of the avyakta, the formless absolute, is not denied, but he reveals its weight. For those whose minds are drawn to what cannot be seen or touched, every step can feel like walking in the dark. The senses, which constantly pull towards form and image, find nothing to grasp. The heart, which longs for a smile, a voice, a presence, is met instead by a vast, impersonal silence. The word klesha, adiktara, is telling. The suffering or strain here is greater. Why? Because we are embodied beings. Our lives are lived in the world of touch, sound, color, and form. To leap directly into the ocean of the formless while still wearing the weight of the body is like trying to hold the wind in your hands. Krishna is not dismissing the path, but he is speaking as a guide who knows the terrain. The impersonal way demands immense mental discipline and detachment from all sensory anchors. It is a climb for rare souls, not because the goal is lesser, but because the journey requires one to strip away everything familiar before one can even begin. It is as if he is gently suggesting, why choose a distant, abstract sun when you can walk beside me in the warmth of my presence. But those who offer all their actions to me, making me their supreme aim, and who, with undivided devotion, worship me while meditating constantly on my form, for them, O Partha, whose minds are absorbed in me, I become the swift rescuer, lifting them from the ocean of birth and death. Here, Krishna's voice carries the warmth of a promise, not the distance of philosophy. He is not describing a path of struggle now. He is offering the intimacy of protection. Picture a devotee who has handed over the keys of their life to him. Sarvani karmani mai sannasya. All that I do, I give to you. There is no bargaining, no half measures. Every thought, every action, every breath is laid at his feet like flowers in a temple. Such a devotee is matpara, seeing Krishna as the highest purpose, not one of many. Their yoga is ananyena, without distraction, without splitting their love among many masters. They do not merely think of him now and then. Their mind is a river that flows only toward his ocean. And what does Krishna promise in return? He becomes Samuddarta, the one who personally lifts them out of the sansar sagarat, the vast churning sea of birth and death. There is urgency in his words, nachirat, not after a long time, but swiftly, as if a loving friend sees you drowning and dives in without hesitation. The image is powerful. While the seeker on the impersonal path must swim alone across endless waters, the devotee on this path is met by the Lord himself, who takes them aboard his own boat. All he asks is that the mind be fully anchored in him. It is both an invitation and a vow. Give yourself to me entirely, and I will carry you home. Place your mind in me alone, and let your intelligence rest in me as well. If you do this, you shall surely dwell in me always. Of this there is no doubt. Here, Krishna's words are simple, almost like a gentle command from a beloved friend, yet they hold the key to the entire path of devotion. He is not speaking of complex rituals or lofty philosophies now. He is saying, give me your mind, give me your understanding. The manas, the seat of emotions, thoughts, and desires, should be turned toward him like a sunflower turns toward the sun, and the buddhi, the faculty of decision, reasoning, and clarity, should also find its home in him. When both heart and mind are anchored in the divine, life stops feeling like a series of scattered moments. One begins to live in him, not merely think of him during prayer. The devotee becomes like a drop that has slipped into the ocean, still existing, yet inseparable from the vastness. The promise here is absolute, nasanshaya, no doubt about it. Krishna assures Arjuna that if he aligns both his emotional and intellectual life with the divine, his existence will naturally abide in that sacred space. There will be no oscillation between worldly distraction and spiritual focus. It will all become one continuous presence. It is a verse that whispers, "Let me be the place where your thoughts rest and where your wisdom blooms. Then, wherever you are already with me." But if you find yourself unable to hold your mind steady in me, then, O Dhananjaya, take to the discipline of practice. Through the steady path of spiritual training, cultivate within yourself the longing to reach me. Krishna now speaks with the tenderness of a teacher who knows his student's heart. The instruction of the previous verse, to fix both mind and intellect entirely in him, is the ideal. But here he acknowledges a truth every seeker knows. The mind is like a wild bird, and holding it in one place is no small task. So he offers an alternative, Abhyas Yoga, the yoga of practice. This is the art of returning again and again to the divine, no matter how many times the mind wanders. It may be through daily prayer, chanting, meditation, or acts of service. It is not about perfection from the start, but about steady training, shaping the heart like a potter shapes clay. He tells Arjuna to desire to attain me, for desire, when purified and focused, becomes the very fuel of devotion. Even if the mind cannot stay still, the longing itself pulls the soul forward, like the scent of a flower drawing a bee from afar. In these words, Krishna is saying, do not despair if your mind slips away. Begin with practice. Keep turning toward me, and in time, the turning will become your nature. If even steady practice feels beyond your reach, then simply dedicate yourself to my work. By performing actions for my sake, you will surely attain perfection. Here, Krishna lowers the ladder yet again, meeting the seeker exactly where they are. If one cannot hold the mind fixed on him, and even the discipline of regular spiritual practice feels too heavy, there is still another way. Mat karm paramo bhava. Let my work be your highest aim. This is the path of service in action. It means living life in such a way that your work, whatever it is, tending the field, teaching, governing, cooking, writing, becomes an offering to the divine. The focus shifts from what you do to why you do it. Every action is infused with the quiet intention, this is for you. Even small tasks, when done for Krishna's sake, become sacred. Sweeping the floor becomes as holy as chanting a mantra. Cooking a meal becomes as significant as a fire sacrifice. It is devotion in motion, worship through the hands and feet. Krishna's assurance is clear. Siddhim avapsyasi, you will attain perfection. The path is no longer about lofty meditation or rigid discipline. It is about aligning one's daily life with the heartbeat of the divine. It is as if he is saying, if you cannot sit still in me, then walk with me. Let your work be my work, and I will turn your every step into a step toward perfection. But if you cannot even act wholly in my service, then taking refuge in self-discipline, renounce the fruits of all your actions. Work, but let go of the claim to its rewards. In this verse, Krishna extends his compassion to its fullest reach. If fixing the mind on him is too high, if steady spiritual practice is too demanding, and if dedicating all work directly to him is still too difficult, there remains one final doorway that anyone can walk through, Tyagam, the renunciation of results. Here, the shift is subtle yet profound. You may still plow your field, teach your students, run your business, or care for your family, but you drop the inner ledger that tallies my gain and my loss. You let go of the tight fist around the fruit of your labor and allow it to belong to the flow of life. Krishna calls this being Yat Atmavan, self-governed, inwardly steady. It is a quiet freedom. Success no longer intoxicates. Failure no longer crushes. You work with a whole heart, but you no longer carry the burden of ownership over the outcome. This is the gentlest form of yoga, one that requires no temple, no ritual, no philosophy, yet slowly cleanses the mind. For in letting go of the fruits, you loosen the knots of ego, and when the ego loosens, love for the divine flows in naturally. It is as if Krishna is saying, if you cannot yet walk with me, then at least loosen the chains that bind your steps. Release the fruit, and in time, your hands will be free to hold mine. Better indeed is knowledge than mere mechanical practice. Better still is meditation than dry knowledge. But higher than meditation is the renunciation of the fruits of action. For from such renunciation, peace follows without delay. Here, Krishna gathers the strands of the previous verses into a clear hierarchy of approach, like steps on a ladder, each leading closer to the summit of peace. Practice, repetition, discipline, and outward acts of devotion. This is where many begin, through ritual or regular effort. Knowledge, understanding the truth of the self and the divine, going beyond blind habit into conscious insight. Meditation, not just knowing about the truth but resting in it, letting the mind merge with the presence of the divine. Renunciation of results, the quietest yet most potent step, acting without clinging to reward. This turns life itself into worship. The sequence is surprising. Krishna places Tyaga even above meditation. Why? Because while meditation may be confined to moments of stillness, the renunciation of results transforms every act, every breath into a state of peace. When we let go of my gain and my loss, the waves of anxiety, ambition, and fear subside. This is not the dull peace of inaction, but the deep calm of a river flowing without resistance. From Tyaga, Shanti, peace, arrives instantly, not as a future reward, but as a present fragrance of freedom. It is as though Krishna says, you may climb through practice, knowledge, and meditation, but if you wish, you can take the direct path. Release the fruit, and peace will be your constant companion. The devotee who harbors no hatred towards any being, who is a true friend and compassionate to all, who claims nothing as his own and is free from the pride of ego, who remains steady in both joy and sorrow, patient and forgiving, who is ever content, disciplined in self, firm in resolve, with mind and intellect offered wholly to me. That devotee so anchored in love is most dear to me. Here, Krishna paints not just a description of a devotee, but a portrait of the heart he loves most. Such a person's inner landscape is free from the weeds of envy. They walk through the world with friendship as their fragrance and compassion as their constant companion. They do not measure life in terms of ownership. Neither possessions nor achievements feel like mine, for the false crown of ego has been set aside. When joy visits, they do not cling. When sorrow knocks, they do not collapse. Their soul is like a tree in all seasons, rooted, patient, forgiving to all who pass under its shade. Contentment is not for them a rare guest, but a daily resident. Their self-control is not dry restraint, but a quiet mastery, and their determination is not brittle willpower, but a steady flame that no wind can snuff out. Their mind rests in the divine like a river in the sea. Their intelligence serves the same purpose, not for personal gain, but as an offering. To Krishna, such a devotee is not merely a follower, they are beloved, for their life itself has become a hymn, their character a silent prayer. That person from whom no living being feels trouble, and who, in turn, is not disturbed by the world, who stands steady, free from the storms of joy and grief, fear and agitation, such a one is most dear to me. In this verse, Krishna offers a picture of the harmless and unshakable soul. Such a person moves through life like a calm lake. Their presence never disturbs the waters around them. No sharp word, selfish action, or restless ambition in them causes pain to others. And just as they do not stir waves in others, so too they remain unshaken by the ripples sent their way by the world. Neither praise swells them, nor criticism shrinks them. The laughter of fortune does not intoxicate them, and the frown of misfortune does not break them. Fear has no claws in their heart, and anxiety finds no nest in their mind. To Krishna, such a soul is precious because they carry an inner stillness that becomes a shelter to all around them. Their very being is like a sanctuary. They neither wound nor are wounded, for they live anchored in the quiet depth of the divine. My devotee who stands free from worldly expectations, whose life is pure, whose actions are skillful, who remains unattached and untroubled, who renounces all restless ventures, such a one is very dear to me. Here Krishna paints the portrait of the quiet master of life. This is not someone driven by the restless chase for gain, recognition, or control. They walk through the world's marketplace without letting its noise dictate their pace. They are unbound by dependence on circumstances or approval, for their anchor lies elsewhere, in the steady depth of the divine. Their purity is not just of body but of thought and motive. Their skill is not mere technical ability, but the wisdom to act with clarity, precision, and proper timing. They can engage in life fully, yet without becoming tangled in its nets. They are udasina, not indifferent in a cold way, but serene in the understanding that life's ups and downs are passing clouds. Pain may visit, but it finds no permanent lodging in their heart, and because they are free from the fever of "I must achieve," they live without the constant strain that drives most human endeavor. To Krishna, such a soul is like a still flame, bright, steady, untouched by the winds, and therefore deeply beloved. He who neither exults in joy nor burns with aversion, who neither laments for the past nor hungers for the future, who lets go of both the favorable and the unfavorable, such a devotee, steadfast in love, is dear to me. In this verse, Krishna describes the equilibrium of the heart that comes from true devotion. Most human lives swing like a pendulum between delight when fortune smiles and despair when loss comes. But here is a soul who has stepped off that swing. They are not cold or emotionless, but they are anchored in something more profound than passing waves. They do not rejoice in a way that makes them cling, nor grieve in a way that makes them sink. They are free from craving what might be and from the weight of regret over what has been. Krishna goes even further. This devotee has released the labels of good and bad that most of us stamp on life's events. By letting go of the mental scoreboard of gain and loss, they are open to what is without resistance or excessive attachment. Such a person's devotion is not dependent on circumstances being comfortable or favorable. Their love for the divine flows the same in sunshine or storm, and it is this constancy, this unconditional heart, that makes them deeply beloved to Krishna. That one who meets friend and foe with the same steady gaze, who is unmoved by honor or insult, by heat or cold, by joy or sorrow, and who walks free of binding attachments, who remains the same in praise or blame, who guards a noble silence, who is content with whatever comes, who calls no single place a permanent home, whose mind is steadfast and whose heart is devoted, such a person is most dear to me. In these two verses, Krishna paints the portrait of a soul beyond the tug of opposites. Most people's mood shifts with the world's weather. A kind word lifts them, a harsh word wounds them, warmth soothes, cold troubles, honor swells the ego, dishonor stings. But here is someone who moves through all these dualities like a calm traveler passing through changing landscapes. Enemies and friends find in them the same evenness. Praise does not intoxicate them, and criticism does not unseat them. They do not seek comfort in a fixed dwelling, because their true home is inward, in the presence of the divine. They practice a quiet strength, not the silence of avoidance, but the silence of one whose heart is at rest. Contentment is not something they chase. It springs naturally from their detachment from possession and expectation. Such a person's devotion is not conditional, not a bargain with life. Whether the world offers roses or thorns, their love for Krishna remains steady and bright. It is this constancy, this refusal to be ruled by circumstance, that makes them, in the Lord's eyes, precious beyond measure. Yet those who walk this deathless path of righteousness, as I have spoken it, who serve it with unwavering faith, who make me their highest aim and treasure, such devoted souls are beyond measure dear to me. With this verse, Krishna concludes his description of the beloved devotee, after painting the qualities of the one who is dear to him, free from envy, steady in joy and sorrow, gentle, content and detached. He now reveals the binding thread that holds all those traits together, faithful dedication to the eternal way of devotion. He calls this teaching Dharmamrita, the nectar of righteousness, for it is not a rigid rulebook, but a life-giving essence, sweet and nourishing to the soul. Those who take it not as theory, but as a lived path, and who walk it with full trust, are the ones who truly embody Bhakti. To make him the highest is not merely to place him above other priorities, it is to let every thought, word, and action flow toward him like rivers to the sea. Such people do not waver between the world and God. They are anchored in the divine, and their faith is the wind in their sails. To Krishna, these souls are not just dear, they are ativ priya, immeasurably dear, for their hearts are his, and his heart is theirs.